This is the second part of my 4-part series on my fibromyalgia journey, and my hope in this video is to help those who are family members or friends, those who have someone close to them who's suffering from chronic pain disorder or fibromyalgia syndrome. Because one of the worst things for someone with chronic pain is for someone to tell them that they don't look sick, or they don't look like in pain, or how about this one, it's all in your head. That is devastating. That is devastating. And you know, it doesn't just come from people in, the community or friends or family. For me, it was a doctor who didn't even understand and literally told me, you don't have that much pain, you just need to take some Tylenol and lose weight. And that was devastating for me. Talk about feeling lonely. Number one, chronic pain disorders, pain period, is not always seen. And someone with fibromyalgia or even any chronic pain may have a really good day or a really bad day, or may have a semi-good day and lots of bad days. Everybody is different, and there are different triggers. And if you don't know or understand them, or haven't been through it, it's really difficult to understand. And so I had a really hard time myself explaining it to my family. I felt alone. I felt like I was in a tunnel with no light in sight. And when you don't look sick, it's hard to call into work, oh, she's in pain again. There were times when I said, oh, I fell and I hurt myself, which was like half truth. Because how are they going to understand this fibromyalgia syndrome? If I was sitting too long, I would be in pain. Standing too long, laying down too long, it would get worse. See, because moving is a great way to help heal fibromyalgia. And stiff back, stiff legs, stiff neck, stiff shoulders. However, it hurts to move. So if it hurts to move, but the best thing is to move, it's like a catch-22. And so it's a fine balance between moving your body and having a flare-up. And without proper support, it's difficult to explain that to someone. You know, I think the hardest part for my family was not understanding what it was going on. I had issues with irritable bowel syndrome. I had headaches. I had migraines. I was very sensitive to the touch, to where just giving me a hug was painful. I had certain areas which are called trigger points that is part of diagnosis actually for fibromyalgia. In my neck and my shoulders and my hips, and if somebody were to touch it, it would just be so painful. Sometimes it was burning, sometimes it was pain, sometimes it was extreme discomfort, restless leg syndrome. I was very sensitive to temperature, to heat and cold. I had a hard time getting my bath water right. Going outside in the heat or extreme heat or extreme cold, when other people would think it wasn't that bad, all of a sudden I couldn't be in the sun, I couldn't be in the heat, I couldn't really be in the cold. I would be shivering uncontrollably. I was living in San Diego, but I'm from Chicago, and so when I would visit my family, I would be shivering uncontrollably. And it would hurt so bad. If it rained, it hurt. If it was gonna rain, I would get a flare up. And these are things that are difficult, for people to understand. and things that do not seem related. This thing called fibrofog. Fibrofog is where that's just what it sounds like, is you're walking in a fog, having problems concentrating and remembering things. And, it's okay when somebody is pregnant to say, oh, that's pregnancy brain. But people don't understand chronic pain and, symptoms associated with that. So to someone who is a friend or a family member who might not understand pain or been through a lot of pain, my husband's one of them. He didn't understand, and fortunately when we met, I was mostly through it, but not completely. I hadn't completely healed myself from fibromyalgia at that point. And so he didn't understand. He never had chronic pain issues. So even though he was towards the end of it, and I had, gathered a lot of data on myself and had healed a lot of myself, it was difficult for him to understand, how is it that I was sensitive to noise, sensitive to light, sensitive to just the radio volume. It could be at 7 and it would be too loud for me. Going over bumps in the car would be too much for me. The sun coming through the car could be too much for me. Him touching me, just giving me a hug, sometimes was too much for me for a flare-up. And those all seemed unrelated. It seemed like I was oversensitive and hypersensitive. And my body was to pain. And so after being in several traumas, that's how my body reacted. And something like stress, lack of sleep, because that's another thing. It's very difficult to sleep when you have fibromyalgia, not just because of the restless legs, but in feeling like bugs are crawling on you. At least that was one of my symptoms. It's just difficult to sleep, and if you can't sleep, your body can't heal itself. And I was one who didn't want to take medications, and that was very difficult for me. And so I just want to encourage those of you who are, a family member or a friend or work with someone that's been diagnosed with fibromyalgia or chronic pain, that you just understand that it's not something that they're making up. It's not something that's exaggerated. I mean, I wanted to get out of my own skin. I didn't even want to be around myself. That's how bad it was. I battled with depression and, a lot of nights crying and sobbing. And so, although I have hope and I'm living free and, I have healed myself, I remember those days and they're very dark. They're very, very dark. And so I encourage you to love them. I encourage you to gain more understanding, to do more research about it, and to also look outside of the doctors. The doctors didn't help me. Even the specialists didn't help me. They sent me to a support group where they told me to go on disability. That didn't help me. I had to seek out the information for myself. And this was many years ago, and there may be, support systems through the medical community that are different, or different in the area that you live in. I was living in Southern California, and, there were some pretty great specialists and doctors that have dealt with fibromyalgia, but I didn't want to be on medication. And sometimes that's the only way that we see that we can manage